going to talk briefly about what makes a good throwing knife desirable versus what makes an undesirable throwing knife. Well, if you're going to be throwing knives a lot, you're going to be acquiring different knives perhaps. This is a made in Germany antique Hen and Rooster pocket knife, high carbon steel, and it's pretty sharp. I don't throw this knife. This is just my everyday whatever utility knife that I carry. If I threw this knife, the blade would break, being high carbon and thin, and it would break the handles. The whole knife would just self-destruct. You don't want to throw any type of folding knife, be it a pocket knife, switchblade, or bolo knife. Don't throw folding knives. Throw them, but know that you're probably, unless you're throwing at a very soft target, you're going to wind up with a broken knife. It's going to go in the garbage next after that. So don't throw any folding knives. You know what's going to happen to them. All right, you've been warned. Expensive knives. That's another reason I wouldn't want to throw this. This thing's expensive. If I had to replace this, if I could, it would probably cost me, I don't know, 50 bucks maybe. I wouldn't throw any expensive knives. I'll tell you what. This knife here, the handle fell away, and I put duct tape. It has a full Tang construction. I think I paid $12 for this knife. All right, medium-sized knife, I'd call this. $12. Full Tang construction. Nothing too thin. The blade's fairly thick. It's got a little bit of weight to it, and it throws pretty good. This large knife here, I paid $15 for this, and I got it just for this course. And this is a good example, personally, I think a very good knife to throw for $15, all right? A little bit on knife anatomy. Two things I want you to know is the thickness of the blade. The thicker the better. But see, I don't know if you can see down here, the spine, the thicker part on this blade down the middle. This is called the spine of the blade, the thick part. Alright, so you're going to want to have a thick spine. Here's a good example of that in this railroad spike knife. Down the middle, see where it's thicker? That would be the spine of the blade. So you want a thick spine on it. An example of not thick, a knife you don't want to throw. This blade has no spine. Basically, I wouldn't want to throw. This is an antique French chef's knife. Very thin, high carbon steel. I could throw this knife. It'd probably be a really good thrower, but it's going to break, and it's going to go in the garbage. And this is my kitchen knife. A good one at that. I don't even like bringing it out here for this, but this is a thin knife with no spine to speak of. Not good for throwing. I'm not even going to stick it in that tray. A tiny little boot knife, real small. I think this thing was like $5 for two of them. You see the middle of this? It's got a spine down the middle. I don't know why it's got serrated edges, but it's got a spine down the middle. This would be a good knife for indoor practice, honestly. It had a cheap, chintzy little handle that fell away, and I used duct tape or electric tape on this one. This would be a good indoor knife if you're going to throw indoors. Preferably you're not, but if you do, you know, it doesn't really even want to stick in that. So you're going to want one of my favorite throwers right here. You get this for $21, right? Made in Pakistan. It sells as a large buoy, and originally this knife had a handle guard here, you know, a finger handle guard there, and a wooden handle. All that fell away after about 10 throws. It fell apart, which I knew it would. So I made a handle for it out of this macrame parachute cord, and it works pretty good for this knife, honestly. And I think that's going to be in my extra material, how to make a macrame handle for your knife. Okay, at the very end of this, you could do macrame or more on that in modifying knives. But this is a very thick knife. I use this knife for gardening, knife throwing, chopping wood. This is a tough knife, and it's like a $20 knife. If you just go on like a internet search for large bowie, B-O-W-I-E, you'll come up with some, and the larger and heavier the better. So that's for outdoor throwing, at least for outdoor throwing. The larger and heavier the better. Then you've got, what makes a good knife? A thick spine and a full tang construction. Very important, full tang. There's a lot of knife anatomy, but the two things I wanted you to know is the spine of the knife. You can see this one is thicker up here. So thick, that makes this good. And the full tang. The tang is where the handle is. This is a full tang construction. Where the whole, it's just one piece, the whole knife blade covers a whole handle, as opposed to if there was the knife and just a little rod coming through here, partial tang, it would break. Here's some illustrations on full tang versus partial tang. In partial tang, alright, you get the idea. You want a full tang knife with a thick spine, and cheap ones throw just great. Now, when we talk about professional throwing knives, that is, knives that are made just to be thrown, versus an assortment like this of just cheap, weird knives, some of them weird, like these railroad spike knives. I personally prefer to collect different knives and throw them. It's part of the sport for me. But you may want to buy knives that are made just to throw. Try it. I mean, the knives that are made just to throw are going to be full tang, just one piece, full tang construction. I don't have any. I used to. I don't really prefer to throw those type of knives. I like to throw a knife that I might carry, you know. They're going to last you a long time, a professional throwing knife. But if you get a knife like any of these that are full tang, they're going to last you just as long. And you can mix and match, alright? These are railroad spike knives. Okay, this is very soft steel. I mean, they say they're high carbon. The higher the carbon, the harder the knife. I'm not even going to get into that, because any of these knives that you buy, be they cheapies like this, or railroad spike knives, if you want to try something different, these bend. They won't break, they'll bend before they break. All of these, for the most part. So will professional throwing knives. They're not going to, generally won't break on you, they'll bend. That French high carbon steel kitchen knife that I use, that will break. That is brittle, like a file metal, very high carbon. It will break before it bends. So the lower carbon is preferable, but I'm not going to cover that, throw that at you, because any of these knives are low enough carbon that they're not going to break on you throwing at, you know, soft targets or wood. You start throwing them at rocks or stuff, I don't know. Yeah, that was supposedly a railroad spike. Same with this one. These cost about 20 bucks. They're pretty good throwers. They're very heavy. And they bend. This one will bend. This one doesn't, because it's got the thicker spine. Yeah, you want a thicker spine. This has a thick spine too, but not like this. Not like this one. So, lower carbon steel. Most importantly, a full tang handle are things that are going to make a good throwing knife. Bad throwing knives, thin blade like the chef's knife. I'm not even going to stick in the wood. Any folding knife. So I think that's about it for knives that I wanted to cover. I'm just trying to impart all my knowledge in these videos. So it's about all I can think about knives. I guess I'll make another video for that.